Welcome to the Luxury Code, where we decode the mindset, the marketing, and the business approach of successful luxury brokers. So you were talking about listing presentation and prepreration. Did you get everything you wanted there? Around the objections? It's price, commission,
I had one more objection.
And term.
I had one more. I wonder how.
You throwing me another objection?
Yes.
I didn't know I could role play today.
Yeah, let's go, buddy.
He told me I was interrogating.
Thanks.
All right, let's pretend. Let's go back to the highest price home you've ever sold is $5 million, and you're your first listing presentation for 15 or something like that. And they say, how many homes have you sold in our price segment?
Yes, thank you.
Well, they didn't say that, luckily.
Okay.
But I'd say, you know what? I haven't sold many homes in your price range, which is why I'm here today, and that's why you called me. I said, there's a lot of agents you're going to meet that sell a lot of homes, and they have big teams. Do you want me one-on-one handling this deal for you and really trying to make a name for myself in the luxury market, really doing everything I can day-to-day to promote your home, or just have you be one of 10 or 15 where you're getting an assistant, another agent that's not really pushing for you? I mean, you have a special, unique home, right? Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. And listen, I believe you're going to hustle for it, no doubt. But what's your network like of other agents in the community? Are you going to be able to position my home in the same way?
Well, that's a great question. And it's not just other agents in the community, because I'm not like other brokers where I just put it in the MLS, wait for another broker to co-op sell the house. I'm going to fight to find the buyer for your home. And you know me in the social world, that's what we met at the charity events, right? We have a lot of the same mutual friends. Don't you think I'm going to pick up the phone and call those people and say, hey, I know you've got a great $5 million house, but you've always talked about maybe getting something bigger and better. I've got this listing, it's coming on the market in 2 weeks. Is that something you want to maybe check out? Because the rich people want something off the market.
You're giving him a that's bananas?
No, I'm giving it a let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. That's bananas. So
the charity events, he had me at the charity events. Like, we already know the same people. I was like, done.
Yeah, we know the same people.
Done.
So, and I've had clients say to me, exactly that I figured, well, you know a lot of the same people as we do. So if we want to sell our house, you'd know the right buyers because these are the kind of people that would buy our house.
Bingo. But he's giving you some of the big objections, which is, I hear that same stuff. Well, like, hey, they're going to ask me about my circle of influence. If I don't know anybody, they're going to ask me what's the most expensive home you've ever sold. And if it isn't X, and I'm like, do those objections actually come up?
That doesn't happen very often.
Sometimes they do. They do.
Sometimes,
for everybody watching,
yes.
someone on there, yeah, it happens.
So let's just say that it's the worst listing presentation ever, and they're asking all the hard questions.
Yes.
And you get me at that, and then I say, well, since it's your first one and it's important to you, will you do it for 4%?
I would probably say the same thing, that I can't do it.
Okay.
Or I will have planned it in advance, like this one for $30 million. I kind of knew in my mind, well, I knew that everyone would come in and ask for 5. Yeah. And probably do it for 4. But I asked for 6, and we ended up closing at 5.27%. Right. Which is better than 5.
And by the way, if you're looking at the high end, that is the leading market of discounters.
Yeah. And that's the problem, because most agents, especially over 10, 20 million, they come and ask for 4.
Right. And they split it between 6 agents.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. Why in the world does a seller want 6 different agents from 5 different companies?
I never got that.
And then, hey, we sold that property for $40 million and you made 18.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Like after your marketing expenses, everything. So, and I'm being facetious on that number. Why?
Well,
What's the mindset of the seller?
From a seller's perspective, I do understand that, because you've got the 4 top brokerage firms in Beverly Hills, all pushing to market for the same cost.
Yes.
And if you've got a trophy property like the ones we're talking about that are $150, $200, $300 million, I think you're hedging. You're going to definitely work things out, because 1% per broker, 1% of 150 million is still 1.5 million. Right. So it's still better than other ones. So I think it's a business decision. Right. And if you really want that, and look,
I'm not knocking it, because a ton of our mutual friends that have all been a part of these spectacular transactions, and everybody's stoked because you got 6 different people that put out their own just sold card. With $200 million on it. You're like, all of you did it. Got it.
It's like hiring 3 CEOs to run your company. Like, it's a bit of a redundancy, but I get it.
But what's interesting? You don't see it as much in New York. You don't see it as much in like Aspen. You don't see it as much in LA. But you see it in LA all the time.
All the time.
And one thing I think, if you're getting in the high-end market, I don't know about other areas, but I know New York is the same, and Beverly Hills, at the high end, over 50 million plus, it's so cutthroat. I know. And agents will lie and make up stories about you just to get you out of the picture. Sure. It's happened to me where the wife wants me, the lawyers want me, the dog likes me, and then all of a sudden they get a random call or an email from another agent. They haven't even said, oh, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this was a $100 million plus listing I was getting. And the seller had told me before, she was very private, didn't want it in the MLS, all that kind of stuff. And 4 years before, when it came off privately on the market, it was in Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Yeah. And it was an expired listing. It wasn't expired. Yeah, I love that. But they didn't call me because that. It was. Yes. So it was in all the media, and I reposted it on my site. So we're about to sign. We met twice, actually 3 times, and she calls me up. She says, I'm very private. And first of all, an agent told me you took a selfie at a party at my house in my living room and posted it all over social media. I said, well, first of all, it doesn't exist. I never took a photo of myself in your house. So let me talk to this agent. Let's meet face to face and have her present this photo because it doesn't exist, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, she says, well, she sent me the 3 links of the articles that I shared on my website 4 years before from Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and whatever else. She said, I told you I was private and you shared that. I said, that was 4 years ago. I only met you 4 months ago. Anyways, I didn't get the listing and it was over 100 million.
Yeah.
Because somebody, and I think I know who it was, but anyways, doesn't matter.
Let's not drop that name here on the podcast.
No, I won't.
But I do want to know. I want everyone to hear. So, what is it like to lose a listing like that?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I get really discouraged and upset, and I go home and I'm like, yeah, I really don't believe what just happened. She always says to me, and you know her well, that if you didn't get it, it's not meant to be for you.
Right.
And sometimes I don't get it the first time, second time, 4th time, I get it.
Right.
Friends of mine that had a house for sale for like 4 years, 5 agents, all the top agents. And every time I'm like, she had a jewelry store. I was buying jewelry for my wife. I'm like, why didn't you guys call me to talk about it? So finally, like 5 years into it, they expired. And I actually called them. I said, guys, we've never had a formal presentation. If you don't mind, I'd like to come sit down with you face to face and get the presentation. I met with them. I got the listing. I sold it 2 weeks later to my own buyer, 6%.
I remember this.
For $6.5 million.
Right. Right.
But for 5 years, every time I would be so discouraged.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm never buying jewelry from her again. If that's the kind of friends.
Yeah.
But from them and going to their party at their house, that's how I met the guy that sold the $30 million house.
Bingo.
So it's hard. We're human beings. It's hard.
We take it personal.
And if you don't get it because you don't get it, that's fine. But if you don't get it because someone's lying and saying stuff about you, that really bothers me. And I wanted to confront the agents, but Gab was like, leave it be. Don't say anything. And I just have to let the universe take care of it on its own.
Right.
Otherwise,
the universe is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to.
Exactly.
Why? Because it is.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to the seller. So I'm on a listing appointment and I want to know from you talk to the agent listening right now. In your experience, what are the 3 to 5 things from a marketing standpoint that causes a seller to say, yeah, I want that?
That's a really good question. In my world, they used to like print ads, but I never believed in print ads.
No.
So I said I'd much rather spend the money on video marketing, and I can show them the numbers. You put the video on there, you get however many views. Print, I think for the more mature sellers, print is still of interest. But the bottom line is, and I always ask them this question. I'm curious. This is like one of my first qualifying questions. How'd you happen to find your home when you bought it? Whether it's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they always tell me, well, I found the LA Times, or I was at a party and my friend mentioned this, or I'd always loved this house and I heard it was coming on the market. So I asked that question so that I can direct my marketing in the way they want. And I always ask them this as well. When I come out to meet you on Monday night at 5, what do you want to see, hear, or know, or feel in order for you to feel confident to make the decision to list your home with me? And depending if I want to see your marketing plan, or I want to know the stats and the results, or I want to feel comfortable with you and make sure we can work together. So it's either they're emotional, they're analytical,
kinesthetic, data-driven, like visual.
So then my presentation becomes specifically geared towards the way they think, but then you don't always know what the wife or spouse knows.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, but there's always a driver.
All right. So thoughts on listing presentations, or we talk about marketing now?
I want to go marketing. I want to hear what because I want to. So this is a big question for a lot of people.
This is an interrogation.
So
Christophe, tell us what we want to know.
Christophe and I were together at a summit, and I, met this, crazy kid from Jersey, Gary Vaynerchuk, who got on stage and said the F word 458 times. Cute story, by the way. One of our clients from Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting your name. Total Southern belle, sweetheart of a gal. I see her, like she's like a nun librarian, right? Walking back, and literally I see her coming, and I'm standing next to Kathy and Kevin.
That day at the summit.
That was at the summit. Gary's on stage, and he's like, beep, 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 right? And all of a sudden, she walks up to me, and I'm just waiting for her to like lay into me. And I'm like, just be empathetic, just smile.
I'm leaving your company. This
right?
Is
I can't believe this. She's like, darling, she said, are you recording this? I was like, yeah. She goes, I'd really like to give this to my pastor. This guy's amazing. I was like,
where do you go to church?
I was like, wow,
exactly.
Your pastor's into Gary Vee. But you and I were both there.
Yep.
You, Eileen Rivera, Lisa Doyle, so many of our friends raced out and bought that flip video camera.
5 o'clock, I went right there.
Was and immediately straight into YouTube, shooting videos. So what have you learned on your video journey when it comes to finding your tribe, connecting with people? What do people like? What do they not like? What have you learned?
So yeah, 2,800 plus videos later in 12, 14 years.
Yeah.
I think we have 36,000 subscribers or something like that.
Your YouTube's killer.
Thank you. And of course the YouTube followers I do get real deal clients that really watch and find me and do deals. But a lot of it are just people who like to watch fancy homes and videos and all that kind of stuff.
That's okay.
If someone, and I always ask people when they come, oh, how'd you find out about me? If they say it's from a video, I kind of already know they want to work with me.
Right.
Otherwise, they wouldn't call me.
Oh, say that again, please.
If they call me from a video and they said they found me from videos and they call me talking about buying or selling, I know they want to work with me.
Why?
They like me. And I think...
Jason, have you said that ever in an event?
Maybe once or twice.
1,000 times.
And I think that's,
maybe.
aside from all the marketing, all of this stuff, it's likability.
Right.
You don't have to show... I've been many presentations where I just talk or ask them questions. Should we get started? And like, yeah. I don't show anything. I mean, I'm prepared.
Yeah.
But they have to like you.
Yes.
And I think that's the number one thing.
So we talk a lot about like in creating content, like finding your tribe, creating content in buckets or themes that you're comfortable in. What are some of the themes that you're most comfortable in, and what do you see that resonates the most with clients?
So I'm comfortable in any theme with videos. That's fine. The one thing I'm not a TikTok funny kind of like do funny silly thing videos.
I so want to get you dancing and pointing at like stupid things.
Well, I can dance and do
Armani.
that. I mean, I would do it.
Yeah. Prada, Armani. That's oh my god.
I would do that. It just.
We have to do that today. We have to do it. I want it on my page just to see how much it blows up.
Let's do it. I think let's do that before we leave. So,
oh my goodness.
What people like on YouTube are my driving tours for sure.
Okay, thank you very much, because it is to this day it is one of the things I still talk about it all the time. So explain to the person that hasn't watched one of your driving tours. What do you do?
Basically, it's really simple. I take my iPhone. I have a little mount in the window. I do a little, hey, it's Christophe Choo. I'm going to drive you around this particular part of LA or Beverly Hills. I turn the camera around and I just drive the streets, and I know my numbers and the houses. And well, this one was bought by this one. This one sold 5 years ago for 10 million. It just sold for 20 million. And this billionaire lives there. And I have to be careful with who I say lives where and what. But if it's public knowledge, I can say it.
But you also talk about architecture and design, and
who the architects are,
and this is where the park is, and right,
everything, and the proximity to why be in Beverly Hills versus Brentwood or Holmby Hills or Bel Air. Bel Air is more of a country lifestyle, but you're 5 minutes from Beverly Hills. Or you're in the flats because you want to be a few blocks away to walk to the restaurants and stores, or you want to be up in the hills because you want the view. So you have to kind of talk about what those areas
accentuate.
Offer.
Exactly.
Because when buyers call me, they ask for moving into an area. I have to explain to them, what do you really want? What are the top 3 or 4 things you want? Is it views? Is it privacy? Is it, whatever that is? So I think that's really an important factor. So driving tours, and it's really simple. I just talk about it and drive it. There's no editing. It just goes online.
That's what I love. And when did you shoot the first one?
Oh God, probably 11 or 12 years ago.
Exactly.
Right when I started doing my videos.
Courtney, did you hear that? 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was probably with a flip video camera.
I think it was. Yeah, because iPhones I've only had like 8 or 9 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So think about it. For everyone listening right now, like that's something that you and I still talk about and we share.
Oh yeah.
Timmy Smith took what you did and did the same thing. He was like driving communities. Then you guys all went helicopters.
Yeah.
Talk about your helicopter video, because that still, like, how many views did that get?
Oh, I think overall like 3.5 million views overall. Yeah. Since we did it, that was my first production video. Yeah.
Talk about that. What do you mean first production video?
Well, my videos were just flip cam, just saying stuff and showing things. So, and it happened in an odd way. I got a random phone call from 2 guys that were USC students doing their graduate,
like film school, something. Yeah.
No, they were football pros, but they were in business school and they had to do some kind of project. And they had called 300 of the top agents from Santa Barbara to San Diego to say, hey, we want to do some videos. I was the only person to call them back. I called them back.
Wow.
Rep Interactive.
Wow.
I'm sure you've heard of them now.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
2 guys came, Steve and Andy, 6'5", football
Heard of them.
guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not into sports, and so I'm like, who are these guys, right? And like they went to videos. So they walked in the door. I said, what kind of video? I said, let's do a helicopter tour of the most expensive houses in LA. I'm like,
let's
these
do
are
that.
college kids. Let's do it. And luckily, their friend was not Tom Ford, Harrison Ford's son, who owned the company called Helenet, who did all the videos for Planet Earth series.
Yes.
Oh. So it was a special twin blade helicopter with special stabilizer cameras.
Right, all the cameras.
That's why the footage was so amazing.
Now that's bananas. Let's go.
So I came up with a concept. I said, these are the houses we're going to do. We storylined it, we did it, we shot it, we filmed it, and we created it. It was just I'm always one, if I like the idea, I just try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Okay, it was so funny. So in my notes of prep, disciplined, early adopter on video, right? Consistent luxury real estate rock star, willing to try anything. He'll test everything once or twice to say, does it work for me? Is it good for me? Is it good for my clients? So if an agent's listening right now and they're like, okay, I got it. I'm gonna work on myself on the inside. I'm going to steal someone's Rolls Royce. Don't actually do that. And drive it around town and like get to know the area. I'm going to study the architecture.
I have clients who can borrow a Ferrari anytime they want from the local dealership.
For sure.
And for that video, I borrowed a Bentley because I didn't have a Bentley and I wanted a nice car for the video. So they loaned me the Bentley.
Yeah, versus that schleppy Mercedes you've been driving. Loser.
It was better than my first car, 1971 orange VW Bug. I drove around for a year and a half.
You know, if that was a 1970, I'd probably buy it.
Oh, wow.
I had an 81 Accord that had nothing but duct tape for upholstery as my first car.
Sweet.
Hey, we all have humble beginnings.
And I shared it with my brother.
Right. At least you had a car.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you had a car.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a car.
I was like hitchhiking. Oh, yeah. I was walking to school uphill both ways.
With your mohawk, you didn't get beaten up?
Yeah, exactly.
But you're from California.
All of a sudden?
Yeah.
You're from Southern California.
So if you were talking to somebody today and they were like, okay, I want to shoot videos. I want to make my name or my presence more well-known in this higher end marketplace. What are the 3 to 5 videos you would shoot?
I would, depending on where you live and work and what's important in that town. I mean, I would really look at the key influencers in the town, whether it's talking to the mayor or the principal of the school or the police department or some maybe, especially nowadays with COVID, maybe some local businesses that are struggling, they could really use some support. I think that's a really important thing to do.
Yeah.
I think anything you can do to help, you're not doing the videos, yes, you will get stuff from it probably, but do it more from coming from a place of service to help them.
Yeah, contribution.
Yes. I think that's a really critical. And I think people get so caught up in, oh, I don't look good in the video or whatever. It's such nonsense. I mean, I always tell people, you look the way you look, whether you got a camera in front of you or you don't.
Right.
You meet clients every day, buyers and sellers.
Yes.
You don't not go because your hair is messed up or you got a pimple. You still go.
Sure. Right.
So the only difference is you have a camera in front of you. And we were talking lunch today. I don't care if I'm speaking in front of one person or 10,000 or a million. I'm sure it's the same. I try to connect with individuals in the audience.
Bingo.
So just be yourself and just be honest and be real. And you make mistakes, you say stupid things, which I do all the time, and laugh at yourself and move on. That's all.
So one is kind of an influencer strategy would be the way we describe it. Like take somebody of influence, create a video for them, honor them, talk about it's all about them, them, right? And it's on your page, and then they share it. What's video number 2?
Talk about why people would want to live where you live or where you want them to live. Like what are the things people want to move to Beverly Hills for? I mean, typically it's the safety, security, the shopping, the events and parties, the wonderful weather, the proximity to, an hour and a half to the mountains and skiing, and an hour and a half to the desert and golf, the beach in 30 minutes. So a lot of nice things. So talk about what you think would be important to them in terms of what the lifestyle is offered in your community.
If I could interject.
Yeah.
Something that strikes me about you is you're kind of like an art collector in the sense of you look at real estate in the communities almost like I think an art collector would look at art. Like you notice the nuance and the detail. You are completely passionate about the brands, about the areas, about the lifestyle, about the different types of finishes and whatnot.
Yes.
And so I think anybody watching should look at that and say, am I that passionate about luxury real estate and luxury living in my community? Because if I'm not, maybe I need to really invest myself in becoming the student of those things.
And also, if you're going to sell luxury real estate, especially for a lot of buyers that are moving into your community or they're buying at the high-end level, they usually have 2 or 3 or 4 homes around the country. You know that. So when they come, they want to buy a house, but then you not just an agent, you become their concierge.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, where'd I go get my hair done? Where'd I get my nails done? Where's the dry cleaner? We want a reservation at 7 o'clock tonight at Spago at 8:30 for 10 people. Let me see if I can make it happen.
Let me call Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Speak
and I always say, let me see if I can make it happen.
Right.
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But if you can deliver, like I just got you a table for 10 people in an hour at Spago, you're all set. they really appreciate that stuff. And
I'm sure.
buying jewelry. I mean, like, people like to buy jewelry, and relatives love it, right? So I'm like, why don't you go to this store, talk to Peter Marco or talk to Tellerico and tell them I'm sent you, and they'll call me and say, oh, your friend just bought an $800,000 diamond ring this afternoon. I'm like, oh. He says, yeah, but the husband was tough. He sat there for 2 hours looking at the GIA certificate and all this stuff. So you got to help them with,
that sounded like a real story, by the way.
It is a real story.
It did sound like a real story.
They want a private chef, or they want security guards. They need a new landscape architect, just all that stuff.
I think the big thing that has always impressed me with you is you do your homework and you immerse yourself in the market you want to be in.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the message. Like I was chatting with my older son, and he was telling me, he's like, I just look around. He's like, there's just so many things to do. And I feel like I'm just light on a bunch of things, except for one, history, which is like his obsession, right? I mean, you've had these conversations.
I have never not had a fascinating conversation with him.
Right. And what I told him was, well, how long did it take you to get really good at history? He goes, well, I fell in love with history in like second grade. I'm like, and now you're a senior in college, graduating with a master's or whatever your degree is in history. I'm like, so you've done this since the second grade. Like, think about that. The person listening right now wants to go luxury on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Nothing
Success doesn't work like that.
We know that.
Everything takes time.
Yeah.
So what would be fun for the listener right now is to think about the journey of the next 5 or 10 years, because what is expensive today is going to be really expensive in real estate in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So if you start embedding yourself into the community, if you start doing the right things now and you play the long game, right? You might just end up with a master's in luxury, right? By studying the architects, by knowing who the builders are, who the quality builders, who the less quality, right? All those conversations that are important to someone that is buying a house like this, right?
And this is truly a 35 to 40 year journey for me.
Yes.
And it's not just like, oh, I want to be a luxury agent, so I've got to learn this stuff. I always loved architecture. And having been 6 years old going to France and seeing chateaus, I didn't even know such a thing existed. I mean, LA is, 120 years old. I mean,
it's very new.
Yeah. Of course, there's new palaces and mansions that we've been to, but I just love beautiful architecture and particularly French architecture or ancient Italian, just beautiful architecture. And then, which comes in with landscape design. And then a beautiful home or a chateau has incredible antiques and art that spans, from 3rd, 4th century Chinese art and sculpture to Roman art and sculpture from 2,000, years ago. And I love that, and I look at it, and I love jewelry and porcelains, and it's just something I'm always had a passion about, and I collect at a certain level. But I think because I love it, that's why if it's not really you, all that stuff is not you, then I don't think it's the right direction to go just because you want to be a luxury agent.
Right.
It's not going to be congruent. It's not going to be natural, and people are going to feel it.
Right. And you could just also be flash, cars, money, let's go. Because that also works, right? Like basically, like we did a podcast earlier, and the whole thing was like, what's your it factor, right? Like, what is it about you? And what's so special about Christophe and everybody that knows you, it's the way you dress, the way you act, the way you treat people, his love for art, his love for jewelry, his like the finer things in life. Yeah. But the finer things in life for you are different from me.
Correct.
Different from Courtney, different from Jason. Correct. Brian, you two are exactly the same. Right? But so like everyone needs to get that.
Yeah.
You with me? And then just be you.
Yeah.
So I want to end with follow-up. So, people in the high end, they just make really fast decisions and just transact instantly, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They've been looking in Beverly Hills for 14 years, missed 3 markets. How do you follow up with people? What are your best like 2 or 3 hacks?
First of all, with wealthy people, not be overly aggressive with them. I mean, you have to be aggressive in a certain way, but you have to be very careful of that.
Yes. How do you do that?
You have to try to know who they are and what they do and what their lifestyle is about, and pick the right moments. I think that's an art in and of itself, how to figure out. In the bottom line with wealthy, I think with any clients, when they want you, you better be ready for them immediately.
Bingo.
When you want to get after them, you won't hear from them for months until they're ready for something they want from you.
Right.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. So
right.
It's not easy to do. But luckily in the social realm, it becomes a little easier because you tend to see people 3, 4 times, 5 times a year at different events. But the businessmen typically, when they're ready and they find the right thing, instant decision. They may be tough negotiating, but they make it happen. celebrities and artsy people, they take forever to decide. Then
Right.
the business manager comes in and the lawyer comes in, and
This is why I'm asking about follow-up.
yeah, and then you have to follow up with everybody.
Yes.
And then when younger people that are buying $3, $4, $5 million houses, a first-time purchase, then mom comes and the cousin comes and Uncle Fred and and they all have their advice, and then you're not dealing with just the buyer and their wife, you're dealing with the whole family and 15 different opinions, right?
Right.
It's challenging, so you just have to do the dance.
Yeah.
It's like dancing on eggs.
So is it email? Is it text? Is it phone call? Is it
Text.
voicemail? Is it video? Like,
Primarily text.
Yeah.
Videos, the bomb videos I send them and the videos messages, they don't really pay too much attention to that.
Yeah.
It's the text.
well, text is just so instant.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch a
What
video.
might you say in a text?
Yeah, exactly.
And what specific?
You're following up
I'll
on
create a
the-
scenario. Like
Yeah.
let's say that it's a $20 million property.
You've been coming to Beverly Hills for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
For the last 5 years, we look at property with you,
Yeah.
and there's never something great, and you just found something great.
Oh, I just found something great for them. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. I will definitely text them, and usually, if it's off the market, it's got something really special for you. Do you have a minute to call me about it? I don't tell
Do you
them.
I have something really special for
I
you.
don't tell them what it is.
I like that.
I
It's
don't give away the
good.
information.
All right. Let's say that you don't have something special for me and you want to
That's
reach
the
out to
flip.
me.
Yeah.
Well, if they've been looking for 10 years, I probably would have already thought to myself, they're not really serious. Or they're one of those guys, well, if you find me the $20 million house for $10 million, I want a deal, then I'll buy it. Well,
I've been looking for 3 years.
And you one of those, you want $20 million house for 10?
No.
No, you're serious, but there's just
No, I'm
nothing on
just-
the market.
Let's pretend that I am some kind of an artsy person. I'm not making
Okay.
a decision. And we just kind of look, we have the means, we just haven't taken the step.
You're looking to buy a vacation home or you want to buy a permanent home?
Just one of my additional residences.
Additional residence. I probably keep touch base with you and say, by the way, there's great opportunities, and I would know if they're paying cash or not paying cash. I mean, right now my line is, hey, look, interest rates. Most people are paying cash, but not everyone does, right?
Yep.
Or even though if they have the cash, they're borrowing the money because it's much cheaper. They
Right.
can make more money than
Right.
that. And I'm like, well, rates have been changing, and the projections are next year it's going to be in the upper threes, maybe even potentially in the fours. So have you thought really about making a decision sooner or later? Because the prices aren't looking to go down.
Yeah.
So I would just really very thoughtfully think about who they are, where they've been in the process, what our conversations have been. But sometimes buyers will come 2 or 3 years in a row and look
Yeah.
at everything and don't find anything. And I remember one of the last foreign buyers I did, they were looking at a house. We were in negotiations on it. It was $10 million. And I just didn't think it was the right house. And there was a house for $16 million that had offers on it. And I said, this one house, the husband said to me, because he didn't want to pay the price for this house. He says, what do you think about this house? Do you think it's a good investment? I said, well, it's a good investment, but it's the most expensive house in the east end of the flats. It's brand new. It fits your lifestyle and your needs, but you're going to grow out of this house very quickly. Mm-hmm. There's one house you haven't talked about. I'd like you to see it tonight. Where is it? What is it? The wife says. I said, no, I'm just going to take you there. Took them there at 5. We came back at 8 o'clock. They went to the Pole Lounge for dinner. And I said, there are the 2 offers in the house. If you want this house, you got to call me tonight after dinner and make a decision. And I called the listing agent. I said, I think they're going to buy this. So if they write an offer tonight, I said, can I present the offer? He says, the seller gets home at 11. I'll meet you at the house at 11:30 at night. Never happened before.
I gotcha.
So they called me at dinner, said, we want to make an offer. I left the house, went back to the office, met them, wrote the offer. I said, you guys come with me in your car. You wait outside, which they did. I walked in, and it was a $14 million deal, all cash, 5-day escrow, 2-day contingency inspections. I think $5 million deposit.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to the seller. He just came back from the hospital, and the agent's looking at the offer. He says to them, sign it. And they signed it. And they bought the house, and now they're buying another bigger one. And the funny thing is, one of the other offers was one of their friends that had made an offer. And as we're leaving, the agent said to me, look, the other buyers will only pay $1 million more. But I just told him that we signed the deal. The other $1 million more was their friends. So now, of course, so the day of the inspection, they brought me a Louis Vuitton briefcase and a Louis Vuitton shawl as a thank you. I said, we haven't even closed escrow. We just want to thank you for what you've done. So, So I really try to think about people and who they are and where they are. And sometimes you have to spend 3-4 years showing all these houses. And I remember the first day she wanted to look at 27 houses, like $3 to $5 million.
Yeah.
I'm like, these houses are not for you.
Yeah.
I'm
It's going
telling
to
you.
take 6 days.
Right.
And like we go to a couple of them, she's like, I don't want to go see that house. And I'd have to go in I'm so sorry, my clients are there, but they don't want to come in. And, the agents get upset. So it was like 2 years of that. And then they came and they bought just like that in a heartbeat.
Timmy Smith says to a billionaire client of his, yeah, he's like, I want to look at like this like $6-7 million house. And he's like, I really thought you were worth more than that. And the guy bought a multi-$10 million house.
Exactly.
He's like, well, is there anything good for me to see?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you probably know the transaction
Well, if
I'm
you know
talking
the people
about.
and you know.
And you have rapport.
Is this like
Yeah.
an income property?
Right. It's like, what is this? Is it for your daughter?
Look, everybody wants a deal.
Yeah.
But when you're rich, they don't mind paying what they have to pay if it's what they want.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Rapport, knowing what to say, confidence, willingness to do whatever it takes.
Yep.
Also willingness to be directive. That's what I'm hearing too.
Yeah.
Like the willingness to say, look, if you want, like, hey, you're going to grow out of this house.
Yeah.
Right. What the average person, oh my God, please buy this house for $5 million. Oh my God, I'll be in seventh heaven. You're like,
Yeah.
it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And there's something so powerful about telling people, no, you shouldn't do this. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because it's so not self-serving for you. It's only about them.
Yeah.
I love
And knowing why is because you're a student of your craft.
that. Bingo.
Completely.
Bingo.
And also the
not some
high-end
sales technique. Yeah.
One of my clients had made offers on several of the $150, $300 million homes when they first came on the market. But when Mikowski came on at 350, we all knew it was worth 100 plus or minus.
Yeah.
But when it's a month in the market and you offer 85 million when he's asking 350, it's very difficult. And then finally, 2 years later, he sells for the number we offered day one.
Exactly.
And that happened on 3 or 4 different houses. But it just the timing wasn't right. So
Right.
and that's tough pill to swallow.
For sure.
Because you're sitting there offering you're counting the commission checks and all the stupid shit you're going to buy. And
Right. But Christophe, one could argue everyone listening right now knows exactly how that feeling is because just the pressure of taking any buyer out in any price range and writing an offer and not getting accepted. And like I've gone through it myself trying to buy a house. Like and just what do I have to do? Do I need to call that agent?
Yeah.
They're like, no, please don't do that.
Exactly.
Right. So I think we all get that. All right. So as we wrap this up, first of all, I love you.
Me too.
I appreciate you. Right. We had dinner last night. It was super fun. I can't tell the funny story we had quite a few laughs last night.
We did.
Jason, closing questions or thoughts or arguments for Mr.
More
Christophe Choo?
interrogations?
Yes, exactly.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
And it maybe, I don't know how long it will last or not.
Uh-oh.
It's not a big one. I don't know if
We're on reel to reel, Jason. We're running out of tape.
Do you travel to other markets to learn other related markets?
I don't do it specifically to learn the markets, but whenever I travel around the world, especially with my international buyer pool, I definitely take a day or two of the trip to do that. When I went to Dubai, I spent...
I remember that trip in particular.
When I go to Paris, Laurent and Vanda own Co-Banker France and Monaco.
Yeah, I know them.
Yep.
I'll have lunch with them. I'll go tour a couple properties. Like they have big listings.
Yep.
I'll speak at their office and share my social media stuff with their office, meet the agents. Absolutely. And because, in the world of wealthy, whether it's they have a house in LA, they want a place in Arizona, maybe Palm Beach or Miami and New York City and maybe Paris. So you got to know those places.
You do.
Yeah.
Especially in the higher end, it's not uncommon that they have a New York place, a London place, LA, maybe Maui, Palm Beach.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to know what's going on in the marketplaces. So I definitely spend time touring properties with my best friends in those areas and just learning the market, even though I have no buyers particularly at that time.
Right.
Very important.
So smart. You think Stevie Cohen, right, coming to LA all the time, did the same exact thing.
Yeah, last time Stephen came, he took me to lunch. We sat down and we had lunch. Yeah.
Patrick McLaughlin, who's in the Hamptons, and he's like, wait, all the buyers are coming from New York City. I'm like, well, you should go network with agents in New York. He's like, yes.
Yeah.
So much of it is agent networks.
Yeah.
You talked about broker relations. You talked about being burned, obviously, on one that still pains you. Sorry for bringing it up. But broker to broker relationships. So that's the other thing for everybody listening right now. If you want to get into the high end, go get to know all the other agents.
Yeah, when I was in New York last, I went with Josh. We had breakfast, and then we went to look at a couple penthouses on Park Avenue and Fifth Avenue. And I got in his car, him driving through New York City.
Oh, and you're still alive.
I'm alive.
Shout out to Josh Rubin, Jill Biggs. Oh my God, have you ever driven with Josh?
Exactly.
Yes, I have, and I can.
But
I've
we have so
lived.
many wonderful people in your ecosystem that have become my closest friends in the business, because we're like-minded. We all are mostly willing to work hard, and we're great at our craft.
Yep.
And we all have the same vision and goals and mindset to go forward. So it's great to be around those kind of people.
Love it, man. Love it. Thank you, pal.
Thank you, my friend.
Really appreciate
Jason,
it.
always a pleasure.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you follow Christophe Choo on every platform. Go to his YouTube channel. Absolutely, yes. You should probably go to this guy's YouTube channel too. It's really, he's kind of getting into this whole video thing. I've been working on him a lot. So he's finally he's progressing.
I'm just doing what you do.
Just doing it better, buddy. Yeah. All right. So listen, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.
Thank you.